A very good morning, Mark. Here, Monday, October the 27th, just after 8 a.m. Eastern, just after 12 noon GMT. US session now underway. Let's have a look how the market's shaping up as the US session gets underway. US dollar index, our starting point, definitely being sold off going into the US session. We're seeing a red candlestick, a sell-off in the US dollar. I've got resistance at 98.80. I've got support at 98.51, and that support is being tested right now. What we have seen so often is either strong or weak US dollar through the Asian European session, and then a turnaround once the US session gets underway. So we'll see whether that develops. So if the US dollar buyers do step in and we see a bounce up off this support area, back up looking at resistance, or if the sell-off does continue, the break below the resistance continues and we see a test of this ascending trend line. But to start with, weak US dollar coming out of that sideways move that we were in since the middle of last week. S&P 500. Following last week's record high that we saw, ended the week really strong demand for US equities, particularly the S&P. Large, sizable gap up to start the new week. That's in the futures market. Wall Street only opens up in an hour and a half at 9:30. But for now, I've already got support at 6,864 and resistance at 6,890, close to the 6,900 level. So demand in off-market trading. When Wall Street opens up, we'll see whether that can be maintained, the demand for S&P and buyers continue, or if we get some kind of a turnaround and a test of the support level at 6,864. But to start the week, certainly looking strong. Let's have a look at oil, at gold. There we see weak gold continuing into the new week. Gold didn't recover from last week's sell-off and then hung around towards the middle late week at that level, around the 4,100. So far today, broken below that level. I've got support at 4,017. I've got resistance at 4,099. Sellers. Let's zoom in on the hourly. There you can see sellers through the European session have been in control, testing this 4,017 level. Looks like buyers attempting a fight back or bounce up of the support level. They'll be looking up at the 4,100 level. And it appears that the 4,000 level is going to be pivotal. What is interesting to note is that US dollar being sold off and gold being sold off, both moving in a positive correlation between the two, both being sold off, as opposed to the traditional relationship where they move in the opposite direction. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, at Brent oil, our other commodity, before we get to Bitcoin. Strong week last week. Bitcoin bounced up from that $60 level all the way up to 65.75. That's our resistance for today. I've got support at 64.26. Sellers started strong today. There's the red candlestick, but here's the wick is left behind. So buyers have stepped in. Let's zoom in on the hourly. There you can see the turnaround from the sell-off in the early European session. Buyers stepping in at the support area over the past 3 hours, now sitting at that just under the $65 level. Buyers will be looking up at the resistance above to 65.75, looking for the $66 level. Sellers will be looking down at this 64.26 support. and Bitcoin. Small green candlesticks, so buyers started on the front foot here. I've got support at 114.4 thousand, and I've got resistance at 116.4, $2,000 range. I have put in a fib retracement tool from the record high at 126,000 down to the support at 123,000 at 103,000. Sorry, 126,000, the record high, down to the 103,000. Here's the fight back we've seen, and I put in my fib retracement tool from the high to the low, and you can see that buyers have been held up at the 50% fib retracement level, and that is at the 115.1 thousand. That is where buyers got held up yesterday. We'll see whether buyers can break above that and test and challenge above 116,000, or if that 50% fib retracement level holds, sellers step in and look to test below this support at 114.4 thousand. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I will see you at the end of day session.